Yo, what's up everybody? Professor V here, and in this lecture we will focus on self-management and how to stay in a creator mindset by knowing the importance and urgency of tasks and your actions. So without further ado, let's get started. Our actions that we take daily fall into one of these quadrants shown here in this diagram. They are either urgent and important, not urgent and important, urgent and not important, or not urgent and not important. This diagram was developed by Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In the previous lecture, we discussed value and placing value. Only you know what your personal value for each of your behaviors and goals are. However, you need to gauge your behaviors based on importance and urgency according to your goals. If a behavior or action will lead you towards your goals, it should be considered important and you should perform those behaviors and actions. It can be very easy to fill in your time with behaviors that are unimportant and thus self-sabotaging your own success. Urgency is sometimes set by external factors such as when instructors set deadlines for assignments. However, in many cases, if the deadlines don't matter to you personally, then you may not see them as urgent. Urgency is set by you, and you must make these deadlines personal to you. Deadlines may help, but are not the solution to seeing something as urgent. Often students give excuses for not turning in an assignment in on time. Whether the excuse is legitimate or not, assignments are given to students with enough time to complete the assignments and turn them in, and thus the real reason for not turning in assignments on time is because students didn't value the deadline enough. This is when a student needs to get into a creator mindset. When in a creator mindset, a person chooses their goals, values their goals, and meets the deadlines because they want to and creates their own success. You can see in this diagram there are 4 quadrants. Which one do you think you operate in? Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 are the 2 quadrants that are effective in reaching goals because high levels of importance and value are placed on goals. However, one of these quadrants is better than the other. Quadrant 1 contains your behaviors and actions that are important to reaching your goal and are time sensitive to complete those actions. However, operating in Quadrant 1, there is a downfall. There is a high amount of pressure coming from the looming deadline. So the actions need to take place immediately to reach the goals and deadlines successfully. This is just as the example says in the previous slide. The assignment is a 5-page paper for a college course. The paper is worth 33% of the grade, a third. You cannot pass the course with an A or a B if you don't complete it. How valuable is this paper to your goals of getting an A in the course? I hope you gauge it as very valuable to your goal. Because of the high value, you should also recognize its importance to reaching your goal as well. So, we are now functioning in at least the top row of the 4 quadrants, Quadrant 1 or Quadrant 2. Now, how urgent is the paper? If you do not start the paper until the night before it is due, it is likely very urgent and causes a high level of stress. This is procrastination at its finest. The assignment instructions were given to you a month before the due date, but you decided to not work on it until the night before it is due. When you do this, there is no time for proofreading, no time to check for originality and plagiarism, and not time to write a well-informed, research and grammatically correct paper. Often grades suffer from procrastinating and operating in Quadrant 1. While the goal of turning in a paper is reached, it was reached ineffectively, and likely your grade will not be as high if you had operated in Quadrant 2, which we will discuss shortly. Those that operate in Quadrant 1 are more likely to suffer from stress, which increases the likelihood of nervousness anxiety, depression, and a higher chance of developing other physical ailments such as ulcers and susceptibility to viruses, bacteria, diseases, and even just the common cold. While if you had just started on the paper when it was first assigned, you wouldn't be in this boat just described. Operating in Quadrant 2 is when you know the value and importance of a goal, but there is a low urgency because you have plenty of time to complete the paper, to complete your goal. Creators take purposeful actions and perform purposeful behaviors to reach their goals in a timely manner and act in Quadrant 2. This is operating with high levels of value and importance without the stress of urgency. Start planning as soon as you get your core syllabus on the first day when you will work on assignments and readings for each class. If you have instructions available or when you have them, begin working on them and pace yourself. With the low levels of stress, your body and mental health will thank you. Now the other two quadrants, Quadrant 3 and 4, are incredibly less effective in reaching goals and meeting deadlines. Operating in Quadrant 3 consists of performing behaviors with a sense of urgency that don't contribute to your goals. This could consist of knowing you have a deadline on an assignment, but then your friend calls you. When they call, they ask you to meet them because they have some gossip to tell you. If you deem it as important and urgent, you will drop everything and discuss it with your friend, even though you are working on an assignment that is due very soon. The gossip may be entertaining and fun, however, it isn't important to your goals. Refrain and work in Quadrant 1 or Quadrant 2. Working in Quadrant 4 is the most debilitating to your goals. This would be ignoring both the importance and urgency of your goals and not placing any value on them. This could be when you have multiple assignments due and exams to study for that you decide to binge a series on Netflix for 6 hours straight. Quadrant 4 consists of those that waste time. Now, I'm not saying to not entertain yourself during college or in life. We all need that break from time to time. However, still use your time wisely. I always say in my classes that it's okay to take a break from studying and watch an episode or two of your favorite series on Netflix. But Netflix should never ask you, are you still watching? That is a sign that you are operating in Quadrant 4. Often, when operating in Quadrant 4 momentarily is healthy. Thus, don't listen to your inner critic, but to your inner guide. You know it is just to take a small break before getting back to being productive. Be more conscious of your actions and behaviors and how they affect your goals, and you will be successful in minimizing time wasting. As a college student, be a creator. Listen to your inner guide. Take notes in college. If you don't know what to write, copy word for word your instructor's PowerPoints, even if they are posted on Blackboard, Canvas, D2L, or your school's learning management system. Do all your assignments and turn them in on time. If you have questions about material or the assignments, schedule appointments during your instructor's office hours. Do all of your assignments and turn them in on time. If you have questions about materials or the assignments, schedule appointments during your instructor's office hours. If the office hours don't coincide with your schedule, ask your instructor if there are other times available to meet. Likely, there are other times. Create study groups with your classmates when you take notes. Create study groups with your classmates. When you take notes, don't just take them and then ignore them. Review them as much as possible. Make study flashcards and create your own questions to test yourself. In study groups, ask others to make their own questions by predicting the type of questions that will be on the exam and exchange quizzes. Quiz each other. Don't be shy to email the entire class if email addresses or course messages within your school's learning management system is available. Talk about the material you learn. I like to say in my face-to-face classes, bore the hell out of your parents, your significant other, friends, children, grandparents, neighbors, enemies, even by talking about the material you learned in class, even if it is about art history, political science, college algebra, Any subject, as long as it gets you to use the information you learn. Just talk about what you've learned. If you do these things as well as other study techniques you learn along the way that help you before due dates, you will be operating in Quadrant 2 and more likely to have success in college. Don't forget to apply these concepts to real life as well, because another goal is to be successful in life outside college as well. Now, you may be thinking, there is a lot to do in college and a lot to manage. You have classes, need to study for those classes, need to do the assigned homework for those classes, but also need to take care of personal life responsibilities as well as leisure activities. To be better at operating with a creator mindset and within Quadrant 2, you need to create a schedule. There are several types of schedules. One is the weekly calendar, which are intended for responsibilities and goals needed to be accomplished on a weekly basis, such as going to class, studying for those classes, employment, time to get to each of these places, as well as others, recreation and other responsibilities. If you need to get a weekly calendar, you can often get them at dollar stores, or my favorite place to go, Five Below, if you're in the United States and watching this, of course. No, this video is not sponsored, but as much as I mention Five Below in my face-to-face courses, I really should be sponsored. If you don't have a place to buy one, create one. There are downloadable templates if you just Google weekly calendar, or just get a blank piece of paper and write on top of the paper the days of the week. Then on the left margin, write the times of the day in 30-minute increments. Once you do so, plan out what you are going to do for that week at specific times. Everything. Be organized with your time and be sure to account for time spent commuting, getting dressed in the morning or other parts of the day, eating, and other small tasks, even sleep. Definitely don't forget the bigger and important tasks either, such as when you will be in class, times in which you will have to be at work, and be sure to schedule the time in which you will dedicate to your classes outside of class. Schedule your study time. A lot of the time, studying doesn't just happen. You need to make it happen. A good philosophy is to schedule 2 hours of studying for a class per hour spent in the classroom. If you're taking online classes, dedicate the same amount of time, if not more, as there is no time in which you'll be in a classroom. For example, if you're taking a biology course online, but the face-to-face version of the course would normally spend 3 hours in the classroom during a week, schedule 6 or more hours to study for that class during the week. This is where I often get the comments, but I don't have enough time. While this is a hard realization sometimes, depending on the time you have set to reach certain goals, such as graduating with a bachelor's degree within 4 years, sometimes it's better to take a little longer than the traditional 4 years so that your grades and your GPA don't suffer and you can dedicate more time to study per class. What I'm trying to say is don't overwhelm yourself. Take the amount of courses that you can also fit within your other responsibilities. If you have a job, whether part-time or full-time, be sure not to take too many courses that you can't handle, both working and your college courses. If you have children, again, don't take more courses than you can handle. It is also okay to consider and take a semester off to regroup if necessary. I'm getting a bit off topic, however, there is great value in creating a weekly schedule. It keeps you on task. The hardest part is not creating the schedule, it's abiding by the schedule. Having the willpower to ignore other items and actions and things that you want to do that you like to fit in your schedule but cannot. Fit as much as you can into your schedule and make sure it is balanced. What I mean by that is also schedule leisure time. Time in which you may spend with family and friends. Schedule your Netflix time and other activities you enjoy. Just be sure to prioritize actions that will help you reach your goals. When it comes to scheduling study time, it's important because more often than not, students sabotage their success because they tend to think, I'll study when I have the time. The thing is, almost always, students don't find the time because of just various reasons, whether because they prioritize other actions or just don't want to study. This is characteristic of a victim mindset and operating in quadrant 3 and 4, which are the least effective ways to reach your goals. Another type of schedule that should be kept in addition to a weekly schedule is a monthly schedule. Again, I said in addition to, not instead of. Keep both a weekly schedule and a monthly schedule. A monthly schedule are for events that may occur only once a month, such as upcoming events, appointments, and due dates. During the week of an event, appointments, and due dates, don't forget to add them to your weekly calendar for the specific time they take place. Again, if you need one, purchase one. Most planners at stores include both monthly calendars and weekly calendars, but once again, you are unable to find one, Google monthly calendar or create your own. A monthly calendar helps by seeing all the important dates at a glance, while the weekly calendar is more specific about the daily activities and the time necessary to complete those activities. In college, you will always know your due dates and deadlines for assignments. Here is also a tech tip. Keep your schedules in your smartphones. Whether you use the built-in calendar or a free electronic calendar such as a Google Calendar, set reminders for the important dates and times. Set a reminder that will appear in your notifications and set a sound that will remind you of your monthly commitments and deadlines. If you're part of a study group or a project group, you can share the calendar with your group members and everyone will be notified of the upcoming deadlines. This way, you can help your group members stay on track and not procrastinate, keeping everyone in quadrant 2. Of course, that is in a perfect world. If your group members don't value their education and goals as much as you, this may be more difficult. If you can, choose your group members. If not, be the motivator of your group and be sure to continuously update your instructor if your group is not being productive so that your grade does not suffer. And just as the weekly calendar, the hardest thing to a monthly calendar is to stick to it and have the willpower to complete each task effectively. Be conscious of your mindset and remain in quadrant 2. In addition to creating a weekly and a monthly schedule, a next actions list is another option you should consider doing in addition to the calendars. The next actions list helps with prioritizing tasks that need to be completed. For each goal you have on your weekly or monthly calendar, set up a next actions list. Basically, list everything that you need to do to reach that goal. For example, if your role is a student enrolled in Introduction to Psychology and your goal is to make an A on your first exam, list the steps you will take and the actions in which you will do to reach that particular goal. Make a bulleted list. It can look something similar to this. Attend class on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Read chapter 1 through 4 by February 1st. Complete chapter activities by February 1st. Study and review notes for an hour on Mondays and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'm sure you can think of other required tasks. Again, this is an example. Notice how they fit into DAPS as discussed in the last chapter. There are specific tasks and not just do homework. You need to be specific with your tasks. The more practice you have, the more specific you will become. Notice that they are also dated and time sensitive as defined by both DAPS and SMART goals. When listing your goals and your next actions, begin with tasks in quadrant 1 as they are the most urgent and then followed by quadrant 2 tasks. With continued practice, you'll have less and less tasks in quadrant 1 and more in quadrant 2 as you will get better at planning and self-management. When you feel that you are slipping into quadrant 3 or quadrant 4, check your next actions list to remain productive. Now that you know how to plan your future actions, now it's about developing the grit or the willpower to stay on task and reach those goals by performing the actions you outlined in your next actions list. The authors, Downing and Brennan, discuss one of the strangest and most perplexing things within higher education, and that it is so many capable college students stop attending, withdraw, or even drop out of college every year. Psychology professor Angela Duckworth noticed this trend and begun to perform research on this topic. Why do so many college students that have the abilities to be great and successful college students but then quit. Results were astounding, and two traits were identified that are needed to make capable learners and college students successful. That is, passion and perseverance. Passion, similar to how much value you place on a goal, is a strong positive feeling and emotions you place on those goals, while perseverance is the ability to keep moving towards your goals despite challenges, obstacles, and even failures along the way to reaching your goals. In some cases, passion and perseverance comes naturally. In others, not so much, or in certain tasks, not so much. Thus, we must develop a passion and perseverance towards to reaching our goals. A large step in developing both passion and commitment is setting your goals as described in the previous lecture, prioritizing tasks and goals as well. However, Duckworth has found that if you follow your dreams, you will be more naturally invested in your goals and the tasks required to reach them. Do not pick a college major because for the reason of being able to make a lot of money in a particular field. It may be hard for some to believe, but monetary worth is not a source of happiness or having an easy life. Many academic studies have found this to be true over and over again. Do not choose a major based on what you may believe to be easy either. If you are not interested in a particular goal or major, the work required won't be easy, and you will be unlikely to persevere when obstacles get in the way. You will likely begin to act in quadrant 1, 3, or even 4, as you may not have any motivation. Research has continued to show that when people have a passion for their chosen major or work, they are more likely to persevere, are satisfied, and excel at their work. If you need assistance in figuring out what to major in, explore your opportunities. Take courses in multiple disciplines of study. Seek out mentorships. Take career assessments often offered by the Career Services Department within a college or university. See an academic advisor. Join extracurricular activities at your school. You can find out more about these usually at the Student Activities Office. Once you've narrowed it down to a field, seek out internships and shadowing opportunities to determine if that is the correct path for you. Duckworth went on to also say that staying focused on a professional goal is also key to developing passion and grit. Commit to one top level professional goal and determine if that is something you can see yourself doing for a long time as in a career. If not, it may be time to pump the brakes and rethink your career or professional goals. You may still have a passion for a particular field, but not necessarily the career or professional goal. For example, if someone wants to be a neurosurgeon, they have to be willing to work extremely long hours, often 70 to 80 hours a week for the majority of their careers. Extremely long surgeries, sometimes lasting 10 plus hours. Very little personal time to spend with their family and friends. To some, they may thrive in that environment. Others want no part of it despite the high level of pay. So possibly switch your goal to a different type of doctor if you still have a passion in healthcare, if these demands are not suitable for you and your family life. There are other downsides and upsides to a neurosurgeon. This was just one that I picked out for demonstration purposes. Another aspect Duckworth noted that is characteristic of having passion is the want to contribute to their fields. Teachers, instructors, and professors all have reached this in their respective fields, and you can too without being a teacher, instructor, or professor. Every single one of us will become a teacher one day in a certain point of view. Many of you may already be one and not even know it. In your jobs, college courses, family, friends, or any other social environments, there are or there will be others that look to you for guidance and mentorship. The question is, how much do you want to give back? Duckworth states that purpose is the intention to contribute to the well-being of others. Perseverance takes willingness. Are you willing to make the necessary sacrifices to succeed in attaining your goals? Wanting to be successful and performing actions and behaviors that will lead to success are two completely different things. Binging Netflix when you have an exam the next week. Are you willing to give Netflix up? If not, then perhaps you need to change your goals and priorities. For some, perseverance comes naturally just like with passion. When it doesn't, the previous things discussed will help with perseverance and staying on task. The weekly and monthly calendars and creating a next actions list. Now, of course, life gets in the way sometimes. Remember to prioritize, of course, and stay in a creator mindset. However, failure is likely imminent. Perseverance is incredibly important when we fail. It keeps us going in the face of those obstacles and challenges. Failure is certain, though, only if you indeed quit. Instead of quitting, consider the following quote by APJ Abdul Kalam. If you fail, never give up, because fail, F-A-I-L, means first attempt in learning. I like to say, put some meaning to your failures. Put some respect on that failure. What I mean by this is learn from your mistakes. Plan A didn't work out to reach your goal. Instead of giving up, rethink your strategy and create a plan B, a plan C, and so on. When performing all the actions discussed in this chapter, you will become better at self-management, managing your goals, the tasks and time required to reach them, and develop more passion and persevere through the tough times en route to reaching your goals. And this concludes the fourth lecture of the College Success Lecture Series. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and I hope you continue your path to college success. Until next time, take care.